Honorable Speaker, sir, I thank the Honorable Tinabuna for his question. Mr. Speaker, sir, firstly, I'd like to congratulate the Minister of Finance, Strategic Planning, National Development and Statistics for the launching of the new National Development Plan 2025-2030 of the coalition government, which sets the direction and platform for us as we progress in building our beloved nation. I believe, Mr. Speaker, sir, most, if not all of us in this August House would have spent time already in perusing the document. I am pleased that a chapter is specifically dedicated for the rural and out island development, which stipulates government's planned strategic focus in the coming years. Mr. Speaker, sir, the question at hand is with regards to one of the many programs administered by the Ministry of Rural and Maritime Development and Disaster Management, which is the Rural Outer Island Program, or ROI in short. Mr. Speaker, sir, we are all aware that the coalition government decided to revive the ROI program through the ministry from January 2023. This revamped ROI program already undertook a thorough consultation with our key stakeholders, including key private sector components of society during the formulation stage, in order to understand the strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities that exists in the agriculture, fisheries, and forestry value chain system before mapping the pathway for the revamped ROI program. Understanding that value chain system is crucial, Mr. Speaker, sir, to ensure that the revived ROI program is focused, targeted, and based on the statistical evidence that can holistically address the development issues faced by our rural communities for more than a decade now. Some of the key rural development issues that were identified during this consultation with key stakeholders includes farm access roads, market access, communication networks, transportation, water supply, and the issues of climate change in terms of sea level rise and riverbanks erosion. The above development issues are also common in all Bosnia Tikina and Bosnia Sana development forums. In addition to the above, Mr. Speaker, sir, high rural poverty rate, 36.5%, particularly with those associated with our subsistence farmers, and rural-urban drift are the two major issues that the ministry is currently working on closely with our key stakeholders to systematically address these issues through their various development programs. At the same time, Mr. Speaker, sir, the ministry is also mindful of those in the rural population that are living near the poverty line and are most likely to fall below the poverty line when faced with economic shocks such as the COVID-19 pandemic. Mr. Speaker, sir, given the increasing demand and broad interrelated issues facing our rural communities, the revamped ROI program needed to focus on complementing the Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Fisheries, and Forestry programs, particularly on improving farm access roads, land preparation, market access, value adding, and network connectivity. The above interventions from the overall objectives of the revamped ROI program, and to ensure that our ROI budgetary allocation is focused and addressing the real needs on the ground. Mr. Speaker, sir, in terms of the rate of return on ROI investment, one of the expected outcomes of this ROI program is on improving productivity and increasing production, mostly targeting our subsistence farmers. This is crucial given that expected increase in productivity will lead to increase in agricultural production, an increase in income, which in turn contribute towards addressing rural poverty due to the expected increase in purchasing power of our rural subsistence households. The same principle applies with fisheries and forestry sector, targeting income-generating projects. This ROI program also ensures that it contributes towards addressing food security and nutrition, which is a very important component of measuring poverty. Mr. Speaker, sir, to ensure increased production and contribution from our rural farmers are realized, the ministry is currently finalizing its production and farming plan and will proceed soon with our ROI community awareness and training program regarding their monthly targets and expected post-harvest annual returns. Helping our ROI farmers understand the dollar value of their post-harvest annual returns may provide that necessary motivation and drive towards increase in productivity. Mr. Speaker, sir, all our rural communities' production and farming plans will be closely monitored by our Divisional Technical Working Group, chaired by our Divisional Commissioners. This technical working group is expected to closely monitor our rural communities' production and farming plan and address any technical issues that may arise. An advisory committee comprised of key government stakeholders, permanent secretaries will also be established to address those value chain issues that may arise from the technical working group discussions. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Ministry has noted the importance of the program sustainability. Thus, all our rural farming communities will be incubated in the next 3 to 5 years to ensure their targets materialize as planned, whilst expected results achieved in terms of improved standard of living and reducing poverty. In order to measure these results, the Ministry will proceed with a profiling of these rural farming communities in order to have some baseline statistics on their current living standards, income levels, and their goals for the next 3 to 5 years. The above baseline data is also crucial for the evaluation of the program effectiveness in the next 3 to 5 years. The above are the new initiatives that this revamped rural program introduced to ensure sustainability, scalability, and with a future expectation of being self-sufficient and reduce their over-dependence towards government assistance. Mr. Speaker, in the 2023-2024 financial year, the rural program, in consultation with the Ministry of Agriculture, has constructed a total of 22 rural farm roads at a cost of $2 million. This includes the construction of 75.5 kilometers in the Northern Division, 16.9 kilometers in the Western Division, 5.9 kilometers in the Central Division, and 5 kilometers in the Eastern Division. These rural farm roads were strategically constructed, thus not only make access to farmers, gives access to farmers, but enables women to reach markets as vendors, children now traveling on proper roads, infrastructure to schools, and the elderly are able to reach the nearest postal agency to access their social welfare benefits. Mr. Speaker, sir, the intention of the Ministry is to ensure that all rural communities are connected to road infrastructure through the strategic construction of rural farm roads. We understand the limited budget constraints of government and the limited machineries available with the Ministry of Agriculture to ensure all farmers receive a fair share of infrastructure access. As the Coordination Ministry for Rural Development, a total of 22 contractors with road infrastructure machineries were approved by the Government Tender Board, having more contractors accelerating the construction of rural farm roads. This indirectly increased competition for the private sector, strengthening private-public partnership, and in return a source of revenue for the government in terms of generating tax, which is a multiplier effect of the rural program investment in rural farm roads. Mr. Speaker, sir, all rural communities have much expectation for the coalition government to facilitate improvement in livelihoods. In this context, the rural program, in consultation with the Ministry of Forestry, procured 4 portable sawmills for each of the 4 divisions to facilitate the Scheme 3 of our rural housing program. This is a 1/3 and 2/3 contribution between the government and communities that have available forests as their 1/3 contribution. Mr. Speaker, sir, I believe that all in this August House have realized the growing cover or angona, ndalo, ginger, and turmeric production in our rural economy. As we continue to explore markets globally, the ROI program has focused internally by procuring food processing units to make possible the growth of niche markets through rural processing hubs. This directly connects farmers to locally created markets and generates economic activity widely and employment creation. Mr. Speaker, sir, there are already existing farmers that are driving the agriculture sector in rural areas heavily reliant on manual labor. Our coordination role with the Ministry of Agriculture at the divisional level through the established technical working group highlighted earlier has guided the ROI program to procure and supply farming implements such as plows and harrows to these farmers. One may argue that we are duplicating implementation. However, the objective is to complement and supplement technological and machinery support to farmers wherever possible to improve our agriculture production and its contribution to GDP, which was once a driving economic sector of the nation. Mr. Speaker, sir, rural communities have evolved globally due to the growing rural subsistence sector, and Fiji was once a leading economy in the Pacific region. We have lost that prestige. The ROI program and in communities that are beneficiaries of the project will be formed into cooperatives to drive economic activity. The pilot initiatives are undertaken in Batulele, 2 communities in Boa province with technical support from the Ministry of Industry and Trade and Department of Cooperatives. The key objective is to strengthen savings for the members with controlled loans based on clearly defined bylaws. The Ministry of Rural and Maritime Development and Disaster Management is thankful to the increase in the budget allocation for the ROI program for 2.5 million in the 2023-2024 financial year to 3 million in the current financial year. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Ministry is determined to achieve the objectives of the revamped ROI program, which is an important component of the Coalition National Development Plan, as well as the Ministry's vision of inclusive development for production and resilient communities. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Now available.